What's going on, everybody? We are now live. Texas Encounters and Mysterious Sightings. I'm your host, Lieutenant. And so I have a little announcement to make today. As y'all know, I have been helping, if y'all don't know, I've been helping B Moss co host with her shows. And they have turned out really, really, really successful. And my thought behind this was why break up a good team? So my announcement is tonight we have us a co-host, none other than B Moss. Hey B.
Yay! Hey,
Hey,
hello,
hey
B.
everybody! Hey everybody! I'm glad to be here. My first time being on the show with Rick, so we're looking forward to a great show tonight with our guest Antonio.
And
To share some UFO ghost encounters with us tonight.
yeah, and if everybody don't know who Antonio is one of our moderators, and he is from the UK, so he is up very, very late right now. So everybody, smash that like button, share, subscribe, comment. It's gonna be a pretty good show. So Antonio, I know you got some UFO stuff to tell us tonight.
Yeah, if that's where you'd like me to start, Rick, I can begin there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes,
Okay, how's my audio? Is that okay?
it's great.
I can hear you great. Everybody, if y'all can hear Antonio, post a one.
Can y'all hear Antonio okay?
1, 2, 3, testing.
You see, I'm checking out the chat here. Steve Riley posted a one, another one, another. All right, you're good to go.
Okay, so I think the easiest way for me to do this, guys, would just be to start at what I remember is the beginning of this of this UFO business that's been seeming to be going on, I think, all my life. So it first started. The first thing I remember was when I was taking a family trip to Sicily. I'm Italian, half Italian, and I think I was about 14, maybe 15. And one evening, I was just settling into bed, and it felt like I was getting tired really, really quickly, and I had just blanked out, and I felt myself being propelled skywards at an incredible rate, and I could feel the wind rushing past me. You know, I could smell the air, and I remember sort of looking over my left shoulder and down, and I could see the because my family lived pretty near the coast, in a place called Mondello, in a town called Partana, and I could see the coastline. I could see everything. It was dark, but it was lit up as if you was in a plane coming down. That's the last thing I remember about that. But that's also the first thing I ever remember that seemed a little bit, odd and out of place. And then a few years passed on, and I started sort of becoming a teenager. And me and my friends, we went to a town in the south of England called Glastonbury. Some of you may have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really spiritual sort of town with links to supposedly, King Arthur. There's a lot of paganism there and stuff. That's not why I went. I'm a Christian in my heart, but it was just a fun place to go. So we were up on Glastonbury Tor, which is a big hill with just an old ruined church tower on the top of it, and we were sitting there. And I noticed in the distance, now a few of you have probably seen these, I noticed a star that seemed, extraordinarily bright, and the star sort of got my attention. And I was sitting there with my girlfriend at the time and one of my friends, and I pointed this star out, and we started watching it, and it started moving from right to left towards us, getting sort of brighter and brighter. And I suppose at about 50 degrees angle up, just before it got to us, it just split into two, and one half shot one way 45 degrees straight up, the other one shot straight up the opposite direction 45 degrees. And we were like, wow, did we just really see that? And Glastonbury being a strange place, this old gentleman sort of turns up, seemingly out of nowhere, and we were really excited. And I said to him, hey, do you know what we've just seen? And I explained it to him. And he said, we see them all the time here. We call them splitters. And I said to him, well, what are they? Do you know what they are? He said, well, if you were to ask me that in hindsight, the only thing I could say is that there is intelligence to them. I don't know if it's a natural phenomena, whether it's a craft or aliens. He said, but we have them all the time here. And I don't know if any of you have ever seen splitters. Have you? They're quite amazing when you see them. So anyway, the time goes by, and I move to another part of my town. And one evening I make arrangements to go to visit a friend of mine, and he lives 20-minute walk from where I live. And it was 10 p.m., but it was summer. It wasn't quite dark. It wasn't like, twilight sort of thing. And so I'm walking to my friends, and I get to a point in my town where there's a railway bridge, and it looks down the whole high street of my town where I live. You can see from that bridge all the way to the end of where I actually sort of needed to go. And again, I get to this bridge, and right in the distance, I see this star. And again, this star seemed really, really extraordinarily bright. It just gripped me. And I was walking along in a sort of half trance. I wasn't really looking at what was going on around me, and I'm just watching this star. And I got about maybe half a mile down the high street, and I stopped because I noticed that this star was actually moving towards me. So I'm sort of standing there and I'm looking at it, and as it's coming nearer and nearer, it stopped right above me. And the last thing, not the last thing I remember, sorry, the first thing I noticed about it, obviously, was that this was no star. The one end of this object was lit, illuminated, and because of the light from that illumination, I could see a curvature, like this thing was curved at the bottom, dull, typically aluminium, silver-coloured thing, and I was watching it, and it seemed probably like maybe only 5 to 10 seconds of time had gone. A white, milky beam shot out from the front of this craft, from the illuminated end. And then this craft just went zoom, straight into the beam and was gone. And, it's giving me tingles now just talking about it. I mean, it was just like, wow. So I continued on my journey. My friends was literally another 5 minutes around the corner. What I do remember is that after that had happened, I'm looking around me, and there was absolutely nobody in the high street. There were no cars. There were no birds. It was dead, and it was probably only 10:15. And I was on a part of the high street where there's a few takeaway shops as well. So there should have been some people. It was dead. And the only thing I remember was, sounds like a scene from a film, but an old newspaper just blowing across the road. And I didn't pay any attention at the time. I just thought, wow, that was amazing what I've just seen. I can't wait to get to my friends and tell him about this. So I continued on about 5 minutes to the cul-de-sac road where I used to live, where I'd moved from. That's where my friend still lived. So I got to his house, and sort of something didn't feel quite right. Something felt a little off. So I knocked on the door, and I had no reply. I thought, that's odd, he's expecting me. It should only be about 10:30. I knocked on the door again, and his mother opened up the top floor window from her bedroom and looked down at me. And now, over here in England, a lot of people call me Tony. So she said to me, Tony, what are you doing here at this time? I said, what do you mean? I've come to see my friend, Jamie, his name. I've come to see Jamie. And she said, it's midnight. I said, no way, it can't be. I spoke to Jamie literally 25 minutes ago, and it was 10 o'clock when I left my house. He said, no, I'm telling you now, it's midnight. And so, okay, so there's missing time there. Okay. And again, it's strange because these things, at the time, you don't really think of it, it phases you a little, but it's not like you're going, oh, wow, I've just lost an hour and a half of time, because it only really became an issue to me later in life,
Right.
Sorry, do you want me to continue, or?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, so that was that. A few years go by, and I moved to a completely different town, and I meet a partner, another girlfriend, and one night we went to visit her parents. Now, they live in Sussex, which is a county down on the south coast in a town called Brighton, and we were in her mother's back garden, which at the end of that there's a field, big field, and there was lots of cows in this field. And we was just sitting out there one evening, and all of a sudden it seemed like all of these cows were just going crazy, were being slaughtered, were fighting with each other, the noise, it was just horrible, And she said, what the hell's going on over there? And I said, well, maybe they're being attacked, or maybe there's a fox or something. And she's gone down to the end of the garden, and she's staring, saying to her, Wendy, what's going on? Wendy. And she wasn't answering me, so I got up and I joined her at the end of the garden. And I suppose 3/4 of the way down this field, and this was a big field, I couldn't give you an exact length of this field, but it was a good few hundred feet long. There was this basically a cloud, and in this cloud there were these 4 yellowy, sort of pinky, I'll call them portholes, but I can't say they were. They looked like lights, and there were these shiny yellow, like when a spark from an angle grinder, that sort of colour. That there were these little balls just flying in and out of this cloud, up, down, in and out, and the cows were just frozen. Some were going absolutely crazy, and we just stood there open-mouthed, and the smoke, this thing started sort of going back from our view and sort of getting smaller and smaller, and then all the lights just blink, 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 went off one by one, and gone. It was gone. All that was there was this sort of mist sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So, okay, time goes on a little bit more, and it gets to 2013. I'd broken my back in an accident, and I'd been in hospital for a while, for 2 weeks, and they released me, and I had to wear this full upper body brace. So I went to my surrogate grandfather's house, who lived just around the corner from the hospital, and he's got a lovely big house, lovely big back garden, and it would, the perfect place for me to sort of get better. And I couldn't really do much apart from just lie on a bed. I mean, I was still that critically immobile. And I want to also add that the painkillers I was on in hospital, which were morphia-based, were not the painkillers I was taking at my grandfather's house, okay? They were just normal paracetamol, Nurofen. I was getting on with it like that, so I wasn't under the influence of any morphine or anything like that.
Right.
And one evening, again, and the time always seems to be 10 o'clock. I was lying in bed, and I had just about enough movement in me to sort of lean to one side, and he had one of those lamps, you tap them and they come on and they come off sort of thing, So I tapped the lamp and the room went into darkness, and I just literally laid back over onto my back and lay there, waiting for the great sleep to come. I wasn't actually that tired. I was actually just more bored than anything, because lying in a bed week after week for sort of 2 months it's no fun,
Right.
Blinking horrible. So anyway, the light goes off, and I'm lying there, and the curtains were open just a crack, and I noticed just out the corner of my left eye, because the window was to the left of my bed, I noticed this green dot appeared on my ceiling. And behind my grandfather's garden, there is student accommodation. But it's not the type of student accommodation, you might see in the film, say, Porky's or something like that. This is very reserved students, no wild stuff, never no parties, nothing at all like that. This was in a really quite high-end area of my town where I live now. And first of all, I thought, someone's, trying to wind me up here. They're shining a laser through my bedroom or something. And I started getting really angry because I couldn't move. I'm stuck in this bed with a body brace on, and I'm starting to get a little bit peeved. And I noticed this dot, this green dot, and this was the colour of this green. And this relates to something I'll tell you about another encounter in a minute. This green was the most beautiful, intense, but without being hurting green I've ever seen. And this dot started travelling across the ceiling towards me. Now, this all happens sort of in a matter of seconds, okay, but I'll try to sort of explain it. When it started moving across the ceiling, I didn't feel any fear. But as it got nearer to me, I started getting a little bit uneasy. And then I could hear this noise, and this noise, God, okay, give me a sec. So this noise, it was like a thrumming noise. It thrum, 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 thrum. Really deep, really intense. It would go through my whole body. And at that moment, I knew something effing strange was going on. I knew that this was not normal. This was otherworldly. So this thrumming noise is going on. I'm feeling it through my whole body. I'm sort of paralysed, double paralysed with a broken back, and with what this thing is making me feel like. And the thrumming suddenly stops, dead silence, and two beings literally morph. Now I'm in my bed, looking across the room. The window's to my left. I'm looking forward, parallel with the window, and there's a cupboard there. And these two, I couldn't see them. The room, they were in silhouette, but these two beings just sort of appeared, standing next to each other. One was taller than the other one, And at the same time as they appeared, another being started rising up. It's going to sound stupid. Started rising up from the floor to the left side, right next to my bed. I lost it basically, and the only I mustered up. I don't know. God must have given me this energy, some movement, and I was shaking myself from side to side, gripping the sides of the bed because I could feel this force on my body, and it didn't feel like it was sort of pulling me up. It felt like it was sort of, it wanted to pull me along the bed and up. It was hard to explain. And at the same time as I felt that, another being rose up from the end of my bed, and I won't repeat the language that came out of my mouth. But you know, I was freaking out. I lost it.
Right.
And you know, I was, without swearing, it was, you know, I was like, no, you are not going to do this. You are not going to do this to me. No. And I didn't call Jesus' name or anything like that. And boom, everything just stopped. I felt the force go. I felt myself sort of pushed back down onto the bed. Room was in darkness. I leant over despite the pain, and I whacked that light on. And as soon as I hit the light, my brother, who was staying there, came into the room and he said, "What's going on?" I said, "Did you have a bad dream?" I said, yeah, I suppose, yeah, that was it. You know, I didn't really want to explain at the time. I was just in shock. You know, I didn't know what to say. And he said, I thought it might have started thundering because when I heard you screaming, I woke up and there was this terrific flash of lightning, but there was no thunder. And, yeah, well, you know, I stayed up probably for the next week, smoking cigarette after cigarette during the night, too petrified to go to sleep after that one.
Right.
So I don't know if that was a failed attempt or whether it actually worked, and I just don't remember you know, I only remember those parts of it. So time goes on a little bit further, and we moved to where the apartment I'm living now. And I think probably about 2 years after I'd been here, again, my brother was here. Now, my brother links into this, and I'll explain why in a moment. This is weird. We were talking about UFOs because my brother, he's not a skeptic, you know, he's not a fool, but he's not a skeptic. Mm-hmm. And we were talking about UFOs, whatnot. And I was standing by my window, which overlooks the canal. And in the distance, I saw again this exact same colour green that was shining, that appeared in my window that night. But this was an orb. And it seemed that the second I noticed it, it shot from maybe a quarter of a mile away, and it flew straight towards me at some stupid speed, stopped almost right outside my window out there, and then it started doing this crazy little display, you know, just dancing backwards and forwards, up, down, doing these incredibly just unhuman maneuvers. And my brother witnessed this, and he had his phone in his hand. But I mean, I was just too dumbstruck to even think about my phone. But he remembers trying to turn the camera on his phone, and really he only has to do it in 2 swipes of his screen.
Right.
But he just could not get it. It was like he'd suddenly just become dumb. So we watched this thing do this dance, and we went outside to try to get a better view, and it went past over my roof, stopped, and some people that were outside, this girl that I knew, I said, can you see that? She said, yeah, I can see it's strange, isn't it? And they all just carried on walking. So we went back into the flat because it started travelling back towards where the window view was, and it stopped again. It stood there for maybe it's like a few seconds, and then whang, just gone again. I mean, it was just, you sort of feel quite privileged when you see these things, but at the same time you think, who the hell is going to believe me? Or someone's going to say, well, that was just a drone, racing drones, they go so fast now. But look, I know this was no drone. It was totally silent. Sorry, LT.
Yeah. Wow, man, that's freaking amazing, dude.
It is. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I've got some questions, but I'm gonna wait. I know you still got a lot more to say. I've been writing down stuff as you've been talking because I want to let you talk and say as much as you want to say because I've got a lot of questions about this too.
Okay, B. Well, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just round it off the UFO thing with maybe just one or two other things, because there is something I want you guys to hear about, which is military tech. But
Okay.
But my brother, now from an early age, at the house we lived in where we had all this paranormal activity, he had this. Now, in hindsight, in later life, he thinks it was a near-death experience. I actually don't. I think it was an abduction disguised as one. Because he had that typical dream where he's floating up in the air and this blonde, heavenly-looking female comes down, takes him by the hand and starts taking him up. But then, in his words, she turned to look at him and said, "It's not your time yet." And then the next thing he remembers was just literally, it felt like he'd hit his bed. I'm still trying to make my mind up about that, but probably about 2 years ago, here, when my brother comes to stay with me now and then for work, he woke up one morning and he had two identical, paralleling bruises on his biceps. Right now, he doesn't muck about with any of that sort of stuff or nothing. He hadn't been to hospital recently, none of that. So we thought, no, that's a bit weird. And these were quite juicy bruises, and they were exactly in the same place on either arm, mirrored, absolutely mirrored. So that was a bit strange. And then one morning, he woke up. Now, I remember listening to Al Santoego on LT's show a few weeks ago, and I don't know if you remember when he said that the horse's hind leg had been gripped and there were indentations left in the horse's leg. Do you remember that?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so on my brother's left wrist, just above the wrist, just starting where the forearm starts, he had 4 finger fingers, sort of not tipped, but rounded finger indents on his arm that just would not. If you do that to yourself or to someone, they might stay for a split second and then the skin comes back up and everything's back to normal.
Right.
No, right. So no, these were there. They weren't going anywhere, at least not for that time. And he kept checking them over and over during the day at work, and it took most of the day for his skin to actually come back up. But something gripped him so hard, or I don't know how the chemistry works in that type of stuff, that they left indents in his arm for hours and hours. So wow. I think it's happening to him too. I've got one more thing I'd like to tell you about UFO, but if you want to ask some questions now, B, go ahead.
Go ahead, B.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead, and then I'm gonna because I've got a bunch of stuff. I've been writing as you've been talking. Got a bunch, okay. So you keep going.
Okay, no problem. So now this wasn't a personal abduction experience. This was something I witnessed when I was in the territorials, which is the reserves to you guys. Excuse me 1 second. So this was in 1990, just before or as Desert Storm was sort of in the air. So I'm just going to take a swig of coffee here, guys.
Go ahead.
Thanks, guys.
Mm-hmm.
So it was undecided at that time whether the territorials were going to play a deployed part in Desert Storm, or whether we were going to play a logistical part back in the UK or at a forward base somewhere in Greece, Italy, somewhere like that. Now, I don't want, and this is not because of any, silly reason. It's for very serious reasons. I don't want to disclose the regiment I was in at the time. It was only an infantry regiment, but I still don't want to say the name of it. And I don't want to say the name of the air base. And I don't want to say the name of the county that I was in. So I don't want to hurt Rick's channel. I don't want to hurt myself, okay? Needless to say, this county's not too far from me, and there's an air base there. And we'd finished that day, we were doing resupply training. And that evening, I was posted to perimeter duty, but it wasn't exactly on the perimeter of the airbase. It was sort of up in the hills a bit that sort of overlooked the base. And it was late. I mean, it was night time. My stag started 11, so it would have been about midnight. And I said to the so let me explain where we were, how we were looking. So directly in front of us was our area of defence, okay, our attack angles. Behind us, and just a little bit down away and down the hill, was the base. So we couldn't see it directly from our position. And I needed a toilet break. So I said to the guys, I'm just going to go off for the toilet. And I decided, for some reason, I don't know why, I didn't go forward. I went back towards the base. Cause I think probably because I thought, well, everyone's going to see me go to the toilet if I go forward. There's like, sort of 60 soldiers all around with all sorts of things they can look at you with. So I went backwards, and I had my own personal set of little binoculars on me. There's nothing special, not night vision or anything like that. So I went back from our position and went to the toilet, and yeah, I don't know, just maybe out of curiosity, I thought I'd just go down the slope a bit and have a look over the base. And there was some natural light, and my binoculars seemed to work quite well in this natural light. So I just thought, I'll have a scan around. It won't hurt anyway. We're supposed to be doing a defence, although we were told that, our area of watch was forward in certain degrees. But I just thought I'll have a look anyway, just in case anyone's trying to catch us out and play tricks on us or anything like that. So I've had a look down at the base, and there's one big hangar that was in my direct line of sight, but I was looking at it side on, so I could see the whole length of the hangar. And I just brought my binos up, and I was scanning forward. And from the roof of this hangar, it didn't come from the roof, it came from the other side of the hangar, but it looked like it was coming up out of the roof from my angle. I saw, okay, so I can only explain it as a rectangle, probably about maybe 80 to 100 feet in length, maybe about 40 to 50 feet in height, maybe a bit more. It was solid black, but it had all these pipes coming out of one bit, going into another, linking through another bit, going up into another bit. I mean, this thing was just a crazy jumble of pipes on it. And this thing rose up, and I couldn't see exactly what it was tethered to. It looked like at the time that it could have been a chain, I don't know. and it was tethered at both ends, and this thing, it came up just above the hangar, and then it slowly went back down again. And in my mind, first of all, I'm telling myself, is that a crane? Was that thing on a crane? Is it a water tank? Are they fitting a new water tank? I think, no, they wouldn't do this at midnight. This is, and yeah, I was stunned. So I went back to my position, and the guys there knew something wasn't right with me, because I was always the joker, you know, one of those type of guys, and I was dead quiet. And they said to me, Scarchi, what's wrong? You know, you okay? And I said, yeah, I'm fine. And one guy, another private, said to me, no, you're not. You're not yourself. What's happened? And I said, look, I went to the toilet and I just got a bit disorientated out there. That's all. And I just got a little bit freaked out, because I didn't know. You know, I thought I was getting lost. And it was left at that. But so I'm going to leave the UFO stuff there for you guys, I think.
Man, that was really awesome, dude. That there's going to be a lot of questions coming out of that encounter. A lot of questions.
Fire away.
Absolutely.
All right,
Lieutenant, you want to start it off?
I'm a gentleman. I like ladies first.
All right. Well, when you started out, you had mentioned about an extraordinarily bright star that you had seen in the distance. What was it about that star that made it stand out to you so much, that let you know that it wasn't an airplane that you were looking at, that you knew it wasn't? What was it about it that made it stand out to you, where you knew something was strange about it?
Okay, so in both instances, the one at Glastonbury with the splitter, and the one where I had the missing time, it was just bigger and brighter and more beautiful than anything else in the sky, you know. And I watched the sky a lot. I used to watch the sky a lot back then, you know, because of just, you know, interesting, you know. But
right.
Yeah, it was just the most beautiful thing in the sky. I mean, that's the only way I can explain it, really, B.
And I understand that. I've had, I can say probably for sure, I know for sure I had my own UFO encounter when I was about 13 or 14 years old, and it was very close. This is when my parents lived in the old house that they lived in before the one that they live in now, but that was the same neighborhood where I had all the dogman sightings and encounters. But, you know, it's just interesting to me. It kind of makes you wonder if some of this stuff kind of intertwined. But, you know, I've seen also, like, I'm like you, I look up in the sky a lot at night. I've been doing that for years. I'm kind of a stargazer. But a lot of times, a lot of people aren't looking up. There's a lot of times you'll see stuff like that up there. You'll see, like, a star, and it looks like a regular star at first, and then it'll all of a sudden just start getting brighter and brighter and brighter, like out of nowhere. It's larger than all the other ones. And there's a few times when I thought they were possibly a planet or something, but then it changed. It would stop and change directions or something that let me know, okay, this is not normal. That's not an airplane. You know the difference when there's something that's not right about it. But you had also mentioned, I can't remember if you said how old you were at the time, but you mentioned being lifted up through the ceiling. What was going on with that situation? When was that exactly?
So are you talking about the first time that I remember anything happening, when I was in Sicily and I was propelled up in the sky?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and I was just about to say to you, when you said you thought you was maybe 13, 14, well, I was about that same age when I remember my first experience. So I think I was about 13, maybe 14, same age. Yeah.
So when you said you were lifted up through the ceiling, was this like you were in your bed at night, and you felt like you were being, I guess, like levitated up through your ceiling out of the house, or what?
No. This was, okay, so this was different to that failed abduction attempt I just related to. So what it felt like was, 1 minute, it's like I'm lying on the bed, and I closed my eyes, tried to maybe bring sleep on, And I don't believe you can immediately just switch into a dream from pure wakefulness. It has to be something else. And what happened was, I don't remember going through the ceiling or anything like that, but I just remember being propelled skywards. And when I did take when I did have the gumption to actually open my eyes and look around me, I sort of opened them and at the same time looked back over my left shoulder, and that's when I saw all the coastline and everything down below me. So that's the last thing I remember about that. But I don't remember being initially pulled up through the ceiling or anything like that. If that helps.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay, so when that happened, like you said, you remember seeing the coastline and stuff like that. Would you kind of look at that somewhat like astral projection, or do you think that had something to do with an abduction experience?
Okay, so when I've tried astral projection, many years. I'm an old man now. I'm 49. I don't like telling people my age, but when I was younger, I was a musician and in a band, and we were into trying out all this, all these different weird things. So, and I tried. I found a book in the library about astral projection, and I tried it. And this was not in my control. With astral projection, you are supposedly supposed to be in control. Now, this was beyond my control. Yeah, this was not astral projection. I mean, and if it was astral projection, I don't remember trying to get myself into a state where you can then bring on astral projection, because as you probably know, there is a sort of a pre sort of system startup check, if you will, before you actually try to do it. Your breathing and concentration and things like that. I didn't know. It wasn't even in my mind, Bettina. No.
Yeah, because I know some people that deal with, there's people who deal with sleep paralysis, and they talk about lucid dreaming or astral projection, and some people, like you were just saying, some people actually embrace the thought of making these incidences happen. So I get what you're saying. It's like you had no control over going outside of yourself or outside of your body or into another dimension or outside of the universe. So, and I'll ask more about that in a second. I want to give Rick time to see if he's wanting to cut in there.
So I know you mentioned a while ago you had seen a white milky beam in your encounter. Yep. So when you seen that white milky beam, did you see anything above it? Did you see any kind of like object above it? Any kind of rotating lights, colored lights, bright lights, anything of the sort?
No. So okay, I'll explain what I saw. So I saw there was this white light that was like a spotlight on the front of this craft, and because of the natural light from that light, I could just see it was illuminating the sort of the first part of a curve of the underside of an object. Now, from that bright light at the front of the object, a milky beam shot out from that, and then the craft just followed itself into the beam. If that explains it, LT?
Yeah, that kind of explains it. And the reason why that caught my interest is because there's been reports of that sort of same type of beam on Skinwalker Ranch.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I mean, I know a few things about Skinwalker Ranch. Sorry, LT. Sorry, yeah.
No, you're good. But yeah, they've had reports of what looks like a white beam, kind of like a spot, one of those huge spotlights like you see in the Batman movie, but they say it looks like it's coming from the ground up.
Okay.
But
oh wow.
And it gets real erratic because it moves, but it doesn't move like it's swiveling from the bottom, how that light stays in one place, but the beam moves. The entire beam moves left, or right. It's not like the bottom
Right.
is stationary. It's moving in all sorts of directions on that ridge line on Skinwalker Ranch, and it's just crazy because when I seen the video of this, which was on actually on Discovery Plus on one of the episodes, they actually filmed it, and you could see it on night vision, but you couldn't see it with the bare eye.
LT, let me step in there, and you probably know this already, but night vision is where it is at if you want to look at things in the
Yes.
night sky.
Yes.
I'm telling you, the sky is so active up there, that once you have your first time with night vision, it's addictive. You know, I would love to be able to buy a decent set of night vision. But yeah, sorry, LT. Yeah.
No, you're good. Yeah, but it was just amazing how when you brought uh, that comment of the white milky beam, that just immediately caught my attention, like heavy, because I know I have seen that and heard about it from Skinwalker Ranch, and they never could figure out what was causing that beam of light. And with the
Well,
and with the naked eye, you couldn't see it. What's captivating,
okay.
because they sat there with a big screen like a TV, and they had the night vision hooked to that TV, and you see that beam just pop up, and it's going from left to right, and then
Wow.
they're looking at the screen. Then they look up in the sky at the ridge, and they're like, "Oh man, there's nothing there." But they look at the screen and they see it there.
I've just thought of a better way to describe that Milky Beam. So imagine, you know, when someone shines a laser beam and then blows, say, cigarette smoke through it, and you can see the smoke swirling around in the
Yes,
beam.
yes,
So imagine a white laser beam with sort of somebody blowing smoke through it. That is pretty much what it was, but it was a milky white, a light white. It wasn't very intense light.
wow. Um, Another question I had is, so you said you had some time lost in that
Yes.
encounter.
Yeah.
When when you had that time lost, was it like from one split second to the next, and you like look down at a watch and like, man, I just lost an hour and a half, or do you remember anything in between?
So it seemed that I was watching this object for. I mean, this happened probably in the space of 10 seconds. It was
Mm-hmm.
that quick. And when the object shot forward and disappeared, I to me it seemed like I'd just stopped, watched this thing, and then continued on my journey, which is at a push half an hour. That's at a lazy walk. Um, so I should have arrived at my friend's at about 25 past 10. But I arrived, well, yeah, about an hour and a half, nearly 2 hours later than that.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it seemed like I'd only stopped for 10 seconds to watch this object. Does
Wow.
that help?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. B, you got anything else?
Yeah, I do.
Go ahead.
So, Antonio, during these experiences that you were having, these abduction experiences, do you ever remember at any point being aboard the craft or seeing anything at all? Any memories of that?
No, I can't say I do, Bettina. You know, I'd love to say, yeah, you know, I was lying on this metal table and there were these big-headed beings, you know, with bending over me and things, but I actually don't. No, I don't remember anything like that. And I'm sort of glad I don't, really, to be honest, because, you know, I know a lot of people like to look into this and get regressed and things like that. But
Right.
I've had enough happen to me. I mean, I don't know if you saw that thing I put on the page about the mole that had been taken out of my arm.
No,
Yeah. Yes.
I missed that.
Okay, so this only happened a few weeks ago. I woke one night and I had in the joint of my right arm where the forearm links with the bicep there. I used to have a mole, and as far as I remember, I've had it there all my life. And I awoke in the night because I felt a heat, a pinpointed heat right where that mole was. Now, it wasn't like a burn. It was like it started like a gentle heat and then just sort of flared up and got really hot. Not quite burnt me, but just got hot. That woke me up. I don't remember smelling any burning or anything like that, but it was enough to make me get out of bed and go and have a look, because, you know, moles and things, you have to check these things, right?
Exactly.
And, right, so when I went into the bathroom and turned on the light, basically, and I did put some photos up on the page, which I probably shouldn't have done, but yeah, the mole and a doctor and a nurse had confirmed this to me, and someone who I won't mention, but who we all know, also who has medical experience, confirmed this. The mole had been extracted with some really quite high-tech equipment, and
oh wow.
yeah, and even by the root, there was no, I can't remember what they're called now, but there was no actual mole flesh, you know, or, left. It was just a clean hole with really clean, healthy-looking pink flesh around it. And now, I mean, I can look. I'm looking at it right now, talking to you, and there is nothing there except for a slightly pinker bit of skin and a tiny bit of sort of flaky, dry skin. Otherwise, and you know, if I remove that now, it's like there was never anything there. And it was a raised mole as well. You know, it wasn't dark brown.
Wow.
It wasn't black. It was pink. But yeah, so that's that. Yeah.
Well, how long would you say that, like during you say you were about 13 or 14, you were in your teens around the time that you started having these abduction experiences. Are you still having experiences like that still to this day?
The last experience I had was the mole experience. You know, it was about 5 or 6 weeks ago. So yeah, it's ongoing. The thing is, as I get older, I seem to remember more, or I seem to become more conscious of things that are happening. For example, you know, with the house I used to live in, the first time, I remember I was in my bedroom and I was watching my bedroom door, and this intense white light was shining through the cracks of it. So it could have even started then, but I don't remember anything apart from that. Yeah.
Wow. That's truly an amazing encounter, Antonio. That's I mean, we hear about a lot of people coming forward and talking, you know, like Travis Walton, who says he was abducted and gone for 3 days and then brought back, and of course he remembers everything. They performed all these surgeries and dropped him back off, you know, miles down from where he was at. But you really don't ever hear of anyone having something performed on them in their own home. You know, it's like what it sounds like is they came down and did a small evasive surgery on you and then just left.
Well, you know, Rick, in parts of my life, there's been times where I should be dead, probably 4 or 5 times over. I won't go into it or why, but you know, I've had doctors say to me, "We don't understand why you're still here, why you're still living and breathing." I had a phlebotomist say to me that we can't get blood out of your arms because you don't have the same veins as everybody else. You've only got one central vein running down each arm, and we can't, as it is, sort of locate an artery in those arms, and we can't get the blood out of the vein because it's so deep. And to do it, we're going to need an ultrasound, and we've never seen anything like this. So yeah, you know, weird. But sorry, to add to that, a lot of people say, you know, oh, aliens, they're demonic. I mean, I don't even know if this is aliens, but I always say this to people. So far, touch wood, and with God and Jesus' grace, they have not done me any harm, whoever or whatever it is. Apart from terrifying me that night when they tried to take me in, and then it all went wrong. So, yeah.
When you said in your encounter that you had seen a silhouette of something there, right?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, they were talking.
And that was going to be my next question. Were you able to decipher what they were talking, or were they speaking? Because I know I've heard in some cases that there have been reports that some aliens have spoke Sumerian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've heard that too. Yes. And that's the Anunnaki connection.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So some aliens have spoken what, Rick? I didn't hear that.
The very first ancient language of Sumerian.
Oh, okay. No, this was not a language as we would know it, with syllables and sounds. This was just like a clicking. And I've been trying to find this exact clicking noise, and I think I found exactly what it sounds like. Now, if you've never done this, go out and try it. Find a very fresh leaf, put that leaf to your ear, and crack the spine of that leaf. Mm-hmm. That's what it sounds like a...
Oh, wow.
It was that. And I remember the bigger one was sort of leaning down towards the smaller one and doing that, making that noise. Yeah.
Wow. So you woke up to that. They were already having a conversation like when you woke up to that.
I was already awake, B. I didn't fall asleep.
Oh,
this
wow.
Is the thing. Yeah, I leant over, turned off the lamp, literally just leant back, and almost a split second I leant back, I noticed this green light. So I know it wasn't a dream. This was no dream. This was reality. I know it was reality. I didn't fall asleep. I was wide awake.
That's even worse. Yeah. That's even more terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. I tell you what really scared me more than even seeing those beings. I mean, when they appeared, it just enforced to me that you've got to somehow stop this. But it was that thrumming noise. Now, I don't know if that's the craft or the propulsion system or the energy of because here's an interesting thing. I was on the first floor of my grandfather's house. I wasn't on the ground floor. So two of these beings came up from the floor. So I've sort of got a feeling that they were teleported, let's call it that. They were teleported to the downstairs areas, and obviously I wasn't there, and maybe they got their coordinates a little bit wrong, and so they were brought up to the upper floor,
Right. Well, were you paralyzed when you heard that intense humming noise?
Yes. It you know what? I don't know if it was fear that paralyzed me, because until I felt that force that seemed to want me to sort of slide down the bed and up, I was paralyzed by something. It felt like fear, Bettina. It is, again, it's making me tingle just talking about this. It's when you stand at a concert next to a bass speaker and you feel it go through you like that.
Yes.
It was that intense, and and every thrum, with every thrum, I could feel the wave sort of going through me, and I will never forget that noise as long as I live.
That noise. Well, that noise is I can't say understandable, but that noise has been associated in many sleep paralysis encounters also, where
really?
people have nighttime visitations. Some say aliens, some say demons, some talk about the grays, some talk about like the shadow figures, different entities that show up in people's room at night, and they have also talked about the paralysis, not being able to move or get up or anything like that, as well as that intense humming. Yep. So that's why I was asking you also if you had a lot of fear when they appeared to you in your room. I was wondering about that because a lot of people during sleep paralysis have this intense sense of impending doom and terror. So did
I
you
know that.
felt that?
Yeah, sorry, Bettina. I know that fear you're talking about in relation to sleep paralysis.
Yeah, sleep
So,
paralysis.
yeah, paralysis, that's the word. Gosh. So, I know that fear you're talking about. Um, do you know what? I think when I had that sleep paralysis fear, there's always a sense of evil that comes with it.
Yes.
Right, but there was no evil with this encounter. It was just a fear of what was about to happen. I wasn't particularly scared of the beings. I couldn't see them. They were in silhouette. I mean, I could see them, but I couldn't see their features. They looked like a typical description of the Greys in their silhouette, bulbous heads, blah de blah. But yeah, there was no evil feeling, but there was definitely a fear. Yeah, yeah.
When you saw them standing there, having a discussion, basically the clicking sounds that they were making, did you get the impression that they were having a discussion about you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. They were talking in relation to their situation or to the situation that was happening. Well, so I was there, so I suppose, yeah, I suppose so, yeah. I don't know whether they were saying to each other, this guy's putting up a hell of a fight, or something's not quite right here. We might have to abandon this one, or whatever. But yeah, they were definitely talking about what was going on at the time. I'm pretty sure of that. Yeah.
What were you able to do in order to try to stop the abduction experience that was about to happen? How were you able to stop them?
Okay, so what I did was when the beings sort of started coming up out of the floor, that's when I started feeling this sort of pulling sort of down towards the back of the bed where this one being had risen up from. And because I was in a full upper body brace, and really couldn't move much at all, Bettina. Like I said, I could sort of go left and right on my side to sort of take things off the nightstand or hit the light, but that was about it. What I remember doing was my hands gripped either side of me on the sheet and the mattress, and I was trying with all the strength I could find just to move, to make a commotion. So I was shaking from side to side. I was swearing. I was cussing them, and I was really sort of kicking off as much as I could.
Right.
And that's when, yeah, just boom, as if a light went out. It all stopped.
So I got a question for you, Antonio.
Sure.
At any time that you've encountered these beings, have you ever felt like they've been hostile?
No, not once.
Not once.
Not once. No. Like I said, the only fear I've ever had from them is that encounter I've just told you about. Again, when they appeared, because that's actually the first time I've ever actually come. I won't say face to face because I couldn't see their faces, but in their presence with a clear memory. There was no hostility at all. I just think they got something wrong, or something interrupted them, maybe.
Right.
And like I said, I've never done me any harm. I get concerned about my brother sometimes because he had those bruises, he had those indentations. He's also got something else which I'm not sure I really want to mention at the moment. But yeah, so physically they've sort of done him damage, but I can't say whether it was on purpose. I can't even say whether it's the same beings. So yeah, but no, never no harm to me. As yet.
And so you said you never seen any faces, right? Just silhouettes.
Yeah, just silhouettes. I mean, the room was in darkness, and the only light that was coming through was the ambient light from outside. That's why, because the curtains were open just a peep, and that's why I could make out where they were in the room. So I had this closet cupboard at the one side of the room. So I could sort of see that in the ambient light and things. So yeah, I had some vision, but yeah, if that sort of explains it.
Yeah. Hey, dude from Texas, I hope that answers your question, bro. He kind of mentioned something that a while ago, but him and Lisa kind of seemed a little hesitant to ask that. And
Ask what?
ask if you had a description of what the beings look like, and I kind of understand where they're coming from.
Yeah. Again, David, Lisa, I would love to say to you that, yeah, they were these little silver-looking guys and with big eyes and that, but I only saw the silhouettes, but they did have that typical grey shape description, the bulbous heads sort of thing,
Yeah.
thin bodies.
Wow.
So what do you think? You think what caused them to leave was when you were able to turn on that light switch?
No, I didn't. I didn't turn the light switch on, Bettina. I didn't turn the light switch on until everything had stopped, and they were gone.
Oh,
That
okay.
was the first thing I did. I think it was either me playing up, but I don't think that would be enough to stop them. But something, unless I was taken, but I don't remember that part, and somehow only sort of remember the sort of trauma of being put back. I don't know, but to me it seemed like they got it all wrong because there's no gaps in my memory of this event. It started with the green light in the window, and it finished when I was shaking from side to side and swearing. And then when that stopped, the first thing I did, I mean, literally, when it all stopped like that, I leant over on my side and I smacked that touch light on, and yeah, if that helps.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely it does. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. You had mentioned earlier. You said you and your brother were together when y'all saw the green orb.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you talk about that a little bit more? Can you expound on that and what was going on there? And I know you had also mentioned that he had also been having experiences. You think that he's also had abduction experiences as well and just doesn't remember them?
I believe so. Okay, so look, I'll talk about the green orb first, and I'll explain a little bit more about some of my brother's other experiences.
Okay.
So as far as the green orb happened, I in my apartment. One side of it looks out over the canal and then over into the distance, and I suppose you could probably see about 1.5 miles, sort of towards the horizon. And about half a mile away, there are these apartment blocks, quite tall ones. And like I said, we were talking about UFOs of all things. And the second I just seemed to notice this green light right by these apartments in the distance. And the second I sort of noticed it, it was almost like it noticed me or my thoughts. And this thing just zoomed. I mean, it shot towards me, and it stopped on a dime. I won't say right outside my window, but probably about 4 or 5 meters away from my window, above the canal, above the water. And this is the strange thing with this now. Now, this green light, if I had to give it a size, I would say if you held your arm out and held, oh God, a small sized baseball, a baseball, they're probably about that big, but I could not, I could not even think about how high this thing was, how big it was. I couldn't think anything past that mesmerizing green light and watching it do this display. And when I say display, this thing was going, it was sweeping so smoothly, but so fast from left, right, up, down. It would loop, and this was no drone. There's absolutely not. I mean, we don't see drones around here where I live, and there's no way this drone could have come from that distance to where it got to me so fast. I mean, it happened in a microsecond. And yeah, the green light, Bettina. I mean, my brother seems to remember that as it was going back over our roof just before it shot off again. He seems to remember that this thing was quite big, sort of aeroplane size big, but I couldn't see past the green globe, you know.
Right.
And the only way I can describe it is imagine kryptonite green, but times 100 and brightly illuminated. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. I really don't. That's about the best I can do. Does that help?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely, it does.
Okay. So, and you asked something about my brother, Bettina. What was that?
I had just asked you if you thought that he had been having. I know you mentioned that he had the fingerprint indentions in his arm, like as if something had grabbed a hold of him during one of his experiences, and he came out of that maybe during an abduction and just didn't remember it. But a lot of people who've come out of abduction situations have talked about coming back with implants in their body, or burns, or scars, or bruises. So I know he definitely went through something. It would be a scary thing, I think, to go through. What do you call it? Like hypnotic regression, to try to remember something like that.
Yeah.
I just think some things are better left not remembered.
Absolutely.
Ditto. I completely agree.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What do you think makes them keep making themselves known to you? Because I'm getting the vibe that, since you mentioned your brother in this, I'm getting the vibe that it's kind of like a family thing. Maybe they've been making themselves known to you and your family for generations. If you were to check around with other family members, it's probably been a recurrence throughout several generations in the family.
Well, here's the thing. I've never mentioned this to my mother. Okay, she's not really a skeptic, but she's what I would call just a typical English person who just likes to, get on with their life, watch the crummy TV, and whatever, So it's hard to break these topics into my parents. So I don't know if anything like that has happened to her. But I have asked myself that question, why me, and to be honest, I couldn't give you an answer. I'm stumped. I just don't know. The reason I think it's happening to my brother is because, and I don't know if it's the same beings, but the latest thing that happened to him, and this was about 3 weeks ago, and he woke up and he said to me, I've got this really strange feeling that I've been somewhere. I've been somewhere. I know that I have been somewhere. He said, I cannot shake this feeling that I've been somewhere. I said, what are you talking about? He said, like if you go for a trip to the beach or something, you come back and that memory in your head is like, you remember just being somewhere. He said, that's the only way I can explain it. But he does suffer. I don't know so much about night terrors, but pretty much, I won't say every night, but at least a few times a week, couple of times a week, I have to sort of, wake him up or jar him from his sleep because he's shouting or moaning, and these sort
That's
of
sleep
noises,
paralysis.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I do that in my sleep paralysis episodes. It's like, it's weird. It's almost like you're trying so hard to get the words out, but the words won't form. It's like your mouth has been like frozen shut. Like they won't let you form the words to even talk. You can't move. You can't scream. You can't get up. You have to like break somebody out of that, or you have to pray mentally. And I always had to pray in order to like get it to end the sleep paralysis episode. So it's weird.
Yeah,
But
it's very weird. I've
sorry,
had that.
Archie.
No, you're good, Antonio. Yeah, I've had that actually happen too in my sleep paralysis. And every time I had my sleep paralysis, which was in my childhood home,
Mm-hmm.
I always seen that cloaked figure with the hat. And every time
Oh,
and a
wow.
lot of people say it's terrifying, but me, I've trained MMA. I've always been a fighter all my life, and
Mm-hmm.
you can put the devil across the room from me, I'm gonna fight. And
Oh,
Right.
every time I've seen it, I was paralyzed, but I was trying to get up, and it seemed like when I just said that prayer, please God, let me get up, my leg would hit the ground, and boom, I get up, and
right.
that was it.
Can I add something there, LT?
Absolutely.
Okay, so I mean I don't know too much about the Hat Man, but here's something. It hasn't happened for a good few months, but I went through a phase and it was happening a hell of a damn lot.
Mm-hmm.
I would be having these dreams where I would be exercising demons out of
Mm-hmm.
not people, but just out of my presence. There would be demons in front of me, and I would be, calling Jesus' name and telling them that, you're going back to damnation in Jesus' name and this, that. And it's like I had this fight with these demons, and one was so vivid. Now, I'm not going to mention the name, the demon, or so-called demon, I don't know, whatever, told me her name. Oh, God, it's giving me the creeps, this. So, but I had that for quite a while. And even my brother
Mm-hmm.
has said to me, oh, last night you were calling Jesus' name and cursing demons and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what that's about. I don't know if that's just a dream or what. No, I don't know. Don't know.
I don't think that it was just a dream. To me, I mean, this is just my personal belief. I don't even think that sleep paralysis is like they say hypnopompic or hypnagogic hallucinations. I personally believe that some dream, not all dreams, but I believe some dreams are spiritual in nature, and I also believe that when we go to sleep, depending on what type of dream you have, I think that we're going into a spiritual realm, a dream state. It's almost like it's another realm of reality, but it's real.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people come out of sleep paralysis or even alien abductions and stuff like that, and you come out of it with scratches or just the same. I mean, it's really weird and it's hard to explain, but it's like during my sleep paralysis episodes that I've had, it's weird because even though my physical eyes are closed, it's like your spiritual eyes can still see everything that's in the room with you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
No,
yeah, it
Tina,
does.
I
Absolutely,
agree.
it does.
Sorry, OT, go ahead.
No, you're good. Go ahead, bro.
The last if let's call it sleep paralysis, although we're sort of both agreeing that it's more than that. That happened to me. Now this was a weird one. I was awake. Now I know that some people, when they have sleep paralysis, they imagine they're awake. But I actually, when you have that sleep paralysis thing, and you're trying. With me, it's always like I'm trying to pull this like a jumper off over my head, and it gets stuck. And that's what will get me out of the sleep paralysis. And I was shaking. I woke myself up, and I remember I was on my side facing my wall, and my brother was staying at the time. This always seems to happen when he's here, and. My brother said, he said, Tony, you're okay, it's okay, you're just having a dream. And I said, no, Gino, that's not going to work. I'm not having a dream. You need to get up off of your bed and actually come and touch me, shake me, because there is something,
Yes.
and it is right on my back.
Absolutely.
And that's what he had to do, Bettina, to get, and that's the only time that's ever happened that strong. But it happened, yeah.
Oh, that's absolutely true, and a lot of people don't know this, but I was watching a sleep paralysis documentary, and they brought up the fact in that documentary, well, one of the documentaries, they were talking about different stuff, but that movie Nightmare on Elm Street, a lot of people don't know that was based on sleep paralysis. You remember somebody somebody had to wake them up in order to get them out of it. They were paralyzed. They couldn't move. That movie was about sleep paralysis.
Wow,
Yeah,
I didn't
never
know
knew
that.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah,
me
that
neither.
was that's why they got stuck in that dream realm. Remember, it said like if you don't wake me up, I could die in my sleep. And in some countries, there are people. I can't remember if it's Cambodia or Vietnam or whatever it was, but that particular country, and I'd have to go back and research it again. But that particular country, it's a major thing over there. Plenty of people have died in their sleep, and they were always talking about the night hag.
Wow.
But like I said, during sleep paralysis episodes, there's just several different things that people witness or encounter. Aliens being one of them. That's why I was asking you some of those questions like that about when you were paralyzed and then the humming sound. That's not just by chance. That's also people have talked about the humming noise also
Yeah.
during other entities being in the room as well. I know during my sleep paralysis episode, I've seen that hag. At least two or three times. And to me, if I had to give you a description of her, if any of you've ever seen that movie, The Grudge, she looked like
gosh.
that.
Oh
Yes.
no,
Wow.
really?
Oh
That's
yeah.
awful.
Yeah.
Oh my
The
gosh.
Grudge.
Yeah.
She looked like that, and then there was a couple of other ones that had showed up too. The scariest one with that though was the out of body experience with the sleep paralysis and then being choked.
Oh, really? You were choked?
Oh yeah,
gosh.
absolutely.
Yeah, when it comes to physical harm, that would make me really angry. I'd be peeved at that. Yeah, I really would.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely. Because at that point in time, I did not know that. I really didn't know what to do about it. I'd never experienced anything like that before, and I knew when I woke up that morning. When at that point, I had never experienced sleep paralysis before. It started when I was in my 20s, and it carried on up until like 20. Well, actually, I had another old hag situation last month.
Really?
Since I moved
Would
in
you
my
like to tell
apartment.
us? Yeah, would you like to tell us? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's weird. So, my Facebook group, what is my name? My group, Cryptid Encounters with B Moss, and there's a lot of people since getting into the Dog Man and Cryptid world, starting my own group and stuff like that. You get a lot of people that you'd be surprised that try to join your group. There's people that are in there, I guess, that are into Satanism, witchcraft. There's devil worshippers, all that kind of stuff. Not just people who are into cryptids and stuff. There's a lot of other people that's into the dark arts as well that try to come into your group. And so there was a lady, and I always go to people's pages first before I accept in new members. I don't just want to let everybody in. I don't try to exclude anybody, but I've dealt with some things spiritually before where I had to go get deliverance for a situation. So because of that, I always try to make sure I check people out. So I went to this lady's page, and when I got over there was a lot of satanic pentagrams on her page, Ouija boards. Like she had this cat, she had the all-seeing eye, all this wicked stuff on her page. And so I sent somebody else to go check out the page too. I was like, well, see what you think. With that other person that went to check out the page, we were both simultaneously looking at this lady's page at the same time, but both of us were both, even though we're looking at it at the same time, we both seen something different on the lady's page. So I ended up blocking her from getting in the group. So later on that night, and prior to this, this is 2021 now, but prior to about a month ago, the last time I had sleep paralysis was back in 2017 when I had beat it for good. But I blocked the lady from the group that same very entire night. That same witch, during sleep paralysis, showed up in my room holding me down during sleep paralysis in the bed. It was terrifying.
Yeah, yes, but I can only imagine. Yeah, this. Sorry, Bettina, go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was going to say that thing that I was getting where I was confronting these demons. That wasn't the feeling I got from that wasn't all bravado. There was fear there as well, and I really had to have my faith. Because, like I said, although I was being Charlie Big Potatoes, we had that saying here in England, and I was, you're going back to hell and this and that. There was still fear there, every now and then I felt like I would be losing my power that whatever Christ or God had given me to confront that demon. And the strange thing is, I remember this one woman, this demon, and again, I won't say the name, but I looked up the name, and the exact name, it's not an exact match, but there's a name that's pretty damn close to the name she gave me, and I've never heard it before in my entire life. And I've studied these sort of things for a long time. Yeah, yeah. How we doing?
Yeah.
Time, sorry, Bettina, go for it.
No, yeah, I understand that, and a lot of people don't realize too. Where you think it's a hallucination, sleep paralysis is real. That's really something. It's
Yeah.
outside of the realm of what people think is just a hallucination, because there's been a husband or a wife in the bed with their spouse at the same time while their spouse is having the sleep paralysis episode, has woken up during their spouse's episode and saw what was sitting on top of their chest during that episode.
Wow.
Wow. I've had a fair few paranormal experiences, all in one house that I lived in. But again, I think I had it lucky because the entity or entities there weren't harmful. They were mischievous, but I've never had anything, touch wood, and in Jesus' name, never had anything attack me in that way. So my heart goes out to you, Bettina, because I would no way like to see something like that on top of me. Absolutely not. I mean, scarier than aliens. Yeah, I bet you were. Yeah. God.
Wow.
Somebody, Bon, also had a question down in the comments. He wanted to know if you have any more description of the demons that you saw.
Yes. Yeah. Again, I'm not going to say the name. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is in no way a racial thing, because I don't even believe in that sort of shit. Excuse my language. Sorry. But the demon was a lady. She was African. She had white eyes, long black hair, and I got to say it, a really, really, really stunning body. But she was vile. She was vile. She was naked and sort of on all fours on the floor and sort of looking up at me. And oh God, sorry, this is like really creeping me out. And spouting all this filth at me. And when I said, and she told me her name, and I don't want to repeat it, but there's a name very really familiar. So I'm sorry I can't tell the name of it, but I just don't want to mention it. I'm not going to give them that power.
Yeah, absolutely, because that when you mention their name, that gives them absolute power. It's and I can't stress this enough to everybody. A lot of people get attacked for that reason because they say the name, and all it is an invitation. You're opening that door, and once you open that door, it's a lot harder to close it than it is to open it.
Yeah, absolutely, LT. I won't go down that road. There's no way.
Oh, absolutely. I don't blame you.
Well, it's the same way. Like some native tribes prefer not to, use the term skinwalkers because they say, I don't know if there's some bad juju. Do you know anything about that, Lieutenant? Like, not talking about that.
Yeah,
or why you're not supposed to.
Yeah, and it goes sort of back to the same thing with the demons. If the term skinwalker is a very broad term, but with that term coming from the Navajos, who were so sacred, and those witch doctors having so much power, I mean, it's like an invitation. And like I was talking to Paul the other day, and he absolutely did not want to mention the name. He just said those other things. You know what I'm talking about? I said, oh, I know what you're talking about, absolutely. And I said, I don't blame you not wanting to use that term, because that term, I've heard of a few people saying that name, and it conjure up something in or around their home. And it's really nothing to play with, because it can cause a lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. This is what I hate about all these so-called paranormal investigators, these kids that are trying to jump on the bandwagon and going out there messing with things they don't know about. I've got absolutely no sympathy for any of them, because that sort of stuff is best left to experts in that field. People like Bettina with ULT. It's cryptids and dogmen and Bigfoot. With Paul and Tom. People like that. And I just don't believe you should be dipping your toe in that pond if you have absolutely no real interest in it or no real cause to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That, like I said, when you go playing in that realm, it can cause life altering changes and even death. I mean, it's
Truth.
that's a realm of this world you don't want to mess with. I know of a couple of people who have tinkered with that notion and have tried it, and trust me, it has ruined their lives.
Yeah. When I was younger, sorry to just jump on that. When I was younger, I thought I wanted to try some witchcraft, and my friend was telling me about white Wicca, and so I gave a spell a try, and my God, if it didn't work, and it worked a hell of a lot more intensely than I had prepared for it to work. It wasn't dangerous in that sense. It wasn't invoking any spirits or anything, but yeah, that stuff is real. I tell you that now, and I backed out of that from that day on. Yeah.
And you have to be careful as a researcher too, whether it's dogman or whether it's spiritual, occult type stuff, supernatural, demons, or any of that kind of stuff, even down to like deliverance and stuff like that, where you're dealing with demonic possession and all that kind of stuff. Even with that, you still have to be very careful for delving into that, because like there's that saying that goes, when you start looking into the darkness starts looking back at you.
Yeah.
You show right. You show right.
Yeah. And a lot of times when you do that, every now and then, if you're spiritual or strong enough in your own mind and spirit, a lot of times if they feel like you are a threat to them, they will start manifesting and showing themselves in your house.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
And I had to kind of shy away a few years ago when I had started researching a certain topic that I was researching probably around 2011, 2012, when I was doing my Christian videos on my other YouTube channel. And I was researching it very heavily and making a correlation between, I guess, this is just I'm not trying to get anybody to agree with me on the whole alien situation. Like, I have some thoughts about it just on research and based on what I feel spiritually, and then also on, I don't know, like if that movie, The Fourth Kind, was supposed to be, they say it was supposed to be based on a true story, and I don't know if it really was or not, but there's a lot of similarities that you can kind of correlate. If any of y'all remember that movie, when that guy in the movie was levitated up out of his bed and his back was broke, or that ancient Sumerian, you mentioned that earlier, Rick, where, well, that ancient Sumerian language was the language that was recorded from speaking from them. Why was an alien able to take over somebody's body and start speaking through those people? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
I do.
Right.
Just the same way demons do. Like, it kind of made me think, what's the deal with that? They can also be channeled just like demons. So is there something else to that?
That's the mischievous part about this whole thing, Bettina, LT, is that these, let's call them entities, beings, whatever, they love to muddy the water. So that you really, just as you're making your mind up about one aspect of it, that they throw you a curveball. You're like, well, really? Then maybe it's not like that, And I think that's part of their whole game, trickery.
I think that there's more than one type of entity. I think that some stuff that we all look at demons, maybe it's not always demons. Maybe these all these different entities or beings have always been here, interdimensional. We only know part of what all God has created. Good, evil, all that kind of stuff. We don't have all the answers, but it's like so many different theories you can throw out there. But what if these things, all of it, has been there all along?
Yeah.
I've been here all along.
I think they have. I think they have. I mean, do you want to hear a quick bogeyman story? Something that happened to me.
Absolutely.
Okay, so when I was younger, I put my age around to about 6 or 7. I was staying with my grandparents, God bless them, when they were alive, and this was in London. And I woke up one night where my grandparents lived on the top floor, and there was an old woman who lived on the bottom floor of this house. And I don't know why I woke up. I'm really not sure. But I went and I went and stood at the top of the stairs that looked down to this old lady's landing sort of thing. And the stairs just sort of disappeared into darkness. You know, the house was very dark. There were no lights on. And I was standing there and I was looking down these stairs, and this man, this humongously built man, in what looked like a pair of canvas sort of trousers, Hessian sack trousers, big clunky boots, and a sort of, you know, those sort of frilly shirts they used to wear back in the 17th century sort of thing, appeared, and his face, I remember, he had, it looked like a clown who'd put his makeup on, but then had just smeared it all around his face. You know, it was a mess. And he ran up the stairs towards me, going, "Whoa, whoa, whoa!"
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, it's making me shiver. And there was only me and my grandparents in the house. There was only the old woman downstairs, you know. And I just ran back to my nan's bed, and because I was sleeping in their bed at the time. And I think that is someone, an entity that is purposely sent to scare children, because I've heard that before. But yeah, he was horrible. Wouldn't like to meet him again.
I can imagine.
Yeah. How are we doing for time, guys?
We're doing good. We got about 24 minutes left.
Do you want me to carry on? I've got loads of paranormal stuff that's happened to me. If you want me to switch topics,
it's up to you, Antonio. B, what do you think?
How long are we? What time is it? It's 8:37. What do you feel? You want to bring Antonio back for another?
Oh, absolutely.
Show? I know it's later his time, or do you want to do that?
Yeah, we can do that. What do you think, Antonio? You want to have another go at it again?
Guys, listen, I'm an open book to you guys. You know, I think all you guys are wonderful. Yeah, listen, I'd love to come back because, you know, like I said, I've got a whole list of paranormal things here that have happened to me, and another UFO thing as well. But yeah, we'll save that for next time if you want, guys. Why not?
All right. Yeah. We absolutely
That's
we can
awesome.
do that.
Yes.
Okay, with that, Antonio, stay on the line. All right, y'all. So, of course, thank you, Antonio, man, that was just completely awesome.
Awesome.
Yes. And
you guys are welcome. You're welcome, all of you.
And I want to keep you on the line, Antonio, because I want to hear your opinion on what I'm about to ask everybody. So,
okay.
I don't know if everyone has heard, but there has been, of course, everyone's heard of the LBL.
Yeah.
And
yes.
There has been an interview that had surfaced about 2 months ago of a supposed survivor of that attack.
Yeah.
And it has since been taken down.
Oh.
So
wow.
What I want to do is, with you two, I want to get y'all's opinion on the LBL.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know. Okay, well, the original story I heard, it's probably the same one that everybody's heard for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
And that being about, what was it, the father was out there changing a tire or something like that on the RV. The little boy was out there with him, and he'd probably seen his father getting attacked first and was trying to make his way back to the RV door, and then he gets back to it just in time, like before he got it open. The dog man grabbed him and killed him outside of the RV, and then went inside and the mother was in there. She put up a fight, and then it ripped through the back door, bathroom area, I guess, of the RV and killed the little girl as well. And they found her body like 30, 40 feet up in a tree.
Right.
And police officers were there and all this. What is the latest, though? Because I actually missed the latest show. I know Jody had mentioned it when we interviewed him, Rick.
Yeah,
he was mentioning something about what's up with, the whole situation with Roger and all that. What do you think about it?
Actually, of course, I'm going to go with the research because the research is proven. There is absolutely no paper trail that this event even happened.
Right.
There's no documents on the vehicle that was on the location. There's nothing. There is completely nothing. All there is research that have been done by so many researchers on that piece of land. And it's I don't know. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but it's hard for me to not go 100% with the research. Because if you don't have a paper trail, it's like we have a term in EMS. If you don't write it in your report, it didn't happen.
Right.
And there is absolutely nothing to say that this even occurred. And I'm not trying to call the guy deceitful. I'm not trying to say it didn't happen, but honestly, facts are facts. The research is proven. That's where I'm leaning toward.
Okay.
Yes, it was a gruesome attack, and if this was true, I really have a place in my heart for that guy because he went through something completely horrifying. But there's really nothing there saying that it actually happened, unless it was a complete cover-up. But even then, there should be some document somewhere saying, oh yeah, that RV was purchased by this person. There should be a witness saying, yeah, I seen that guy here this day or whatever.
Bettina, do you want to answer Rick on that first?
Well, I was just going to say that, some of the cover-ups, originally we were hearing that the police were there that night or when it happened. And then, now hearing other, stories about it now where we're hearing that the police were never there until the next day. Who came in? Was it the government officials who came in on this?
They never said it was government officials. They just said it was these nice guys in suits and ties.
Right.
If that doesn't raise a flag.
Exactly. And how do they always just so happen to show up during these encounters when nobody's called them?
Exactly.
It almost makes you wonder, are these dog men, are they tagged? Are they implanted? How do they just know to show up?
See, and that brings out with me that, and I know you and I have talked about this, B. Paul and I have talked about this, that these things could be manufactured. The government could be reproducing these things.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, Bettina.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say that what Rick just said would make a lot more sense of why they would want to keep it under wraps than just some undiscovered creature that's been roaming around all this time. They've got a lot more to lose if it comes out that they're responsible for that. Obviously, an outcry. One thing I know, as we all know, that all governments are very good, and that's damage control and putting things under the carpet. So again, that guy Roger, he all he's really done, in my opinion, is muddy the story even more. And I haven't made my mind up about him yet, so I think I'm with Rick as well on that one with the research. But who's not to say that it wasn't covered up? Why shouldn't it be covered up?
Yeah, because if it isn't covered up, then everyone's going to know that these things are out there. And if, say, the government is trying to create a super soldier that,
Yeah.
a lot of people think, that's possibly what the government's doing with these things. That means they would have to go and find every one of these things and remove them from wherever they inhabit.
Right. But
And
on that note then, Rick, why do you think that they either do you think that the government have either purposely released them or they've somehow escaped? I mean, why are they here? Why
Well,
you know?
and that's a question. That's a question that everybody asks and an answer that they want, but nobody
Yeah,
knows. Nobody
well,
exactly.
knows.
Right.
I'm not sure if y'all remember when Jeff Nadoni had Victor on several of his shows, and Victor had once mentioned about the fact that the government had actually released a lot of them into several different states. So it just makes you wonder. I can't remember what the purpose or reasoning behind that was. Or they just decided to stop the breeding program or whatever program they had going, because there's been so many, and I can't remember every detail about it now. But apparently, he was saying that they were released into society. I don't know. Like I said, but he said that some of them were tagged. So that's another reason why I brought that up. How do they just know when to show up? Because there's been times where nobody was called at all, and they showed up out of the blue. Now,
Okay.
Now, if you look at it this way, when you have an endangered species, what does a game warden do? Or, just like here in Texas, there's, which crane is it? One of the cranes. They have every one of them cranes tagged with a GPS.
Mm-hmm.
And so if that crane stops moving for, I think it's better part of 24 hours, they go and track it to see if they can find it. And they have that capability.
Absolutely.
That's a fact.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of y'all mentioned earlier saying something about a paper trail. But, Bonnie also made a comment down in the comments. He said there's never a paper trail, never either way. There's no ending evidence. And if you look at it just outside of that whole LBL incident alone, if you look at encounters today where stuff has gotten to be like a major case or major situations, like the school teacher and that got killed by an unknown canine, and all these different stories and stuff like that, or people who've actually been out in the woods have been killed or attacked by Bigfoot or dog man. Hello?
I'm sorry, yeah. I'm sorry, you cut out there, Bettina.
Can y'all still hear me?
Yes.
I can hear you, yeah. Okay.
Okay, yeah, I was just saying there's cases where people have shared encounters or stories about Bigfoot or dog man, or where the game warden or any government officials came in and there was no paper trail because they told the people you saw a bear. Yeah. Or this is what happened to you. They don't write up the actual report, and some of those people have been told not to write up a report saying that it was anything other than a bear or a mountain lion or something like that. It's got to be covered up. They're not going to let the truth come out about this stuff. They don't want it to come out.
No. Yeah. And, Bettina, unfortunately, the percentage of people are so gullible and fickle that it literally takes just one person. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
It just takes one person to say, oh no, that was fake, it was this, and then that rumour gets around. It only takes one documentary to be made to say, oh, this was how it was done, when it looks absolutely like nothing like the original. And then that's it. It's fake then, and that's why I'm glad there's people out there like yourself and LT and all the other researchers that don't just stop at that hurdle, because it's so easy to just convince people that things aren't what they are,
I heard.
And we still
go ahead,
Rick.
Go ahead, B. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and we still speculate and wonder and ask questions like, why does the government not go ahead and admit and tell us the truth and give us disclosure about these cryptids? But if you look at it, they still haven't. Although we know aliens, UFOs, that's been like spotted and cited for I don't even know how long. I mean, but they still have not given disclosure about that even.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And yeah. that goes to what I was just fixing to say, and you must have been reading my mind, because like I was told the other day by a great person, if they admit that these things are real, it's gonna take the mystery right out of it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, for years they were saying there's been plenty, and I guess we could probably go all day with this, but for years people were saying that some of the governments and stuff like that, some of the government and military were also in collaboration with some of the aliens in underground military bases. Phil Schneider talked about that on YouTube several years ago. I mean, he ended up dying several years later, but it was really interesting, and I've heard that quite a bit.
Yeah, I heard that on a few shows ago when I had Leon. He was talking about the Granada Treaty, and that who was it that signed a Granada Treaty with the aliens to obtain their technology, in return them able to abduct and do whatever experiments they feel necessary.
Well, wasn't that offer made to? I heard that offer was made to Eisenhower as well, but he turned it flat down.
There you go.
That's what they say. But did he turn it flat down? We don't know. Do we? Don't know. He may have said, "Yeah, okay, why not?" I mean, what the hell has the government got to lose by having the technology that nobody can touch them with? They've got nothing to lose. That they will bite somebody's arm off for that, literally. So people say Eisenhower turned it down. I don't particularly believe it, to be honest. I don't see how he could turn something like that down. But there you go.
Oh, so Paul posted a question, and it's a really good one. He goes, "I've personally been in situations where these creatures could have killed me, and they didn't. Why don't they just kill us at will?"
Too much heat on them, I think. I think that would been way too much attention on them.
That's a really good question by Paul. And y'all, if y'all don't know who Paul Chafin is, Kentucky Dogman Project, go check him out. This guy here is the real deal.
He and Kirk Stokes.
Yep, him and Kirk Stokes, man, they're fixing to come out with a documentary. There is a trailer to it on YouTube. Go check it out. It is friggin' awesome.
And if you're not a part of their group, go and join their group on Facebook, Kentucky Dogman Project, KDP. Excellent group, excellent pictures, videos, excellent. Just everything on their page is great. I mean, they've got a lot of information to share.
And you have a hard time finding it, there's a link down below. I've already got it down there.
Okay, great. Now, Gerald said game wardens in Tennessee denied for years that big cats were in the state. They finally had to admit it after multiple trail cameras had pictures. Absolutely, Gerald.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that brings up something interesting, because I talked to Al Santoriga 2 days ago, and we were talking back and forth, and he had mentioned that they had said in New York State that there was no mountain lions in New York, but he said that not long ago, I can't remember how long ago, he said that there was actually some caught on traffic cams.
What's that? The big cat?
Yeah, mountain lions. Yeah, big cats. Yeah.
I don't know what is the purpose for hiding that anyway. I mean, I just don't understand that part of it.
I don't know. I don't even think mountain lions are protected. I know they're not in Texas.
Right. Bettina's got a point there, though. I mean, why?
Yeah.
Why not admit to a mountain lion? I mean, it's just doesn't make sense.
But that's just how the government is. I mean, they're sneaky.
That's true.
They're sneaky.
But it's not a cryptid, though, so it's what else are they lying to us about?
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Probably everything.
Probably everything. Yeah. I'm with Rick on that one. Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yep. And the government will do whatever they can to be your friend.
Yeah.
But that's a 180 on their part, because as soon as you turn around, there comes the other face. I hate to say it, but that's just the way it is.
The government, they will always bring you the most terrible news with a slightly wonky smile on their face. Mm-hmm. That's the way I put it. I mean, do you know about I personally think it was a Dogman cover-up that happened in the UK. the Beast of Bodmin. Do you know about that?
Yes, I've heard about that.
I haven't heard of that one.
So, okay, I'll be quick with this, Bettina, because I know we're running short of time. Maybe about 20 odd years ago, maybe a bit more, there were livestock getting attacked in Bodmin, which is a moor near Cornwall. And first of all, nobody could find any reason why this was happening. And then the government started saying, well, we think it could be a big cat. And then a couple of people came forward and said, yeah, we saw this big black cat-looking thing, lurking across the other end of the field. No one could ever get any real footage of it or anything like that. And they tried saying that it was an escaped exotic cat from someone. I personally don't believe that, because apparently a game warden came forward years and years afterwards, or his son, and said that he actually, the police actually hired him to take them, to the site and to get his opinion, and that he actually followed this dog man into the forest one night on his own, but sort of lost his bottle at a certain point and decided he should turn around. And I totally believe it.
Wow. So we got just a few minutes left. We're going to start wrapping up, y'all. I do have an announcement to make. Our next stream is on May 8th, which is going to be a Saturday. I have secured a very, very, very special guest. And this was the only day he could do it because of some family business, but he agreed to do it on the 8th. And I would recommend not missing this because it's going to be awesome. Of course, B is going to co-host with me on that.
Yes.
And if you guys want to know who it is, shoot me some ones and let me know how bad y'all want to know, and I will tell y'all because it's going to be awesome.
Well, I'll give you a whole stream of infinite verbal ones. So, yeah, I'm dying to know who it is.
It's exciting. It's a great guess. It's a great guess.
It is a great guess.
Oh, you've got to tell us, LT. You've got to tell us, guys.
I want to see some ones. I want to see everybody posting some ones.
Y'all better put up y'all's ones. Y'all better put them up quick before we end the show.
Yep, y'all got only a couple more minutes. Chat.
Come on, David from Texas, you're good at the ones. Come on, dude. Give us the ones.
They're slow about it today. There go Lisa. Lisa put up some ones.
Lisa going to put up some one.
Go on, Lisa. She's great. I love Lisa. She's brilliant.
Lisa's the best, man. Come on, y'all. Put up some ones if y'all want to know.
Dude, I know you can hear us. Put up some ones.
I know you know who it is.
Yeah. I guess I know these people still in there.
Yep.
Lisa's doing it for everybody. Lisa, David, where the rest of y'all at?
Come on, y'all.
Better come on.
Put up. Oh, look at Paul. Paul, my brother's in there putting up one. All right, y'all.
I see.
So with that, on May 8th, and I will put the event up, we have secured Old Bear. From Old Bear.
He's a great guest.
Yes, from Old Bear Den of Bigfoot. We have secured him for May 8th.
Yes, he's got like y'all. Any of y'all who were on when I interviewed him, like it's gonna be even more interesting this time because I have a co-host, or I'm gonna be co-hosting with Rick, but it's gonna be great because Old Bear shared so much information on there, and there was still plenty of people who still had plenty of questions during the end of that show. He is going to go all out, like with this interview. He's going to go all out.
Awesome, guys. Brilliant.
And if y'all want to check him out, he's got a Facebook page. Go like his page. Check out his YouTube channel. This guy has a lot of information.
Wow. Yeah, I'm going there now.
and we got
He's got a lot of great stuff.
Yep, and we got him for May 8th. So jump on in, be there. That was the only day we could secure him. I had to jump on it, and we got it. So,
and y'all, just so you know, he's going to share some controversial stuff that a lot of people won't even touch or talk about. I'm going to say, like, we won't give it a PG rating. He's going to tell y'all some deep stuff, and your mouth is going to drop open. Like,
absolutely.
I just heard.
Absolutely.
Oh, wow. that sounds great. Absolutely.
And
brilliant.
like I said, if you want to get a taste, go check out his YouTube channel. He's got some videos up. They're awesome. Of course, I got a bunch of links down in the comments below. Of course, to my channel, like, subscribe, share to my Facebook page. Also, B's channel, or I'm sorry, B's page is down there. Go join that page. I'm helping her out with that page, and we're posting some great stuff. Also, Paul and Kirk's page is down there in the comments. Very good friends of ours. Check them out. They're friggin' awesome. And at the bottom, of course, no other than Marvin Allen. Go check out his stuff. The greatest encounter teller there is.
Big up the dog pack. That's
yes. Right. Join the pack family. Go listen to his stuff. You'll never hear another encounter told like it.
Exactly.
Yep.
Truth, yeah.
All right, y'all. With that, I'm going to say thank y'all. B, thank you for co-hosting. We're going to do it again next stream.
Thank you for having me.
Antonio,
I'm excited.
Antonio, it was awesome, bro. You did great. Great.
Hey, anytime, guys. Anytime.
And everybody, the moderators, Lisa, Alyssa, dude from Texas.
Yes.
Everyone else that joined in the chat, thank y'all for being here. And with
Thanks,
that,
Steve Riley, for showing up.
Oh,
too,
yes,
Paul.
absolutely. Steve was the first one here, man. Thanks for being strong, Steve. Appreciate it.
Tom K.
Tom K. Yep, I've been chatting with Tom for the last 2 days. That's an awesome guy.
Banyaso.
Yeah, Banyaso, Doris Downs, Kay Bennett,
Yeah.
everybody, man. Thank y'all for coming out. We're going to knock the roof off of it next stream. And with
y'all
that,
better be ready.
Y'all better
and share
be ready.
with everybody.
Y'all better be ready. And with that, y'all, this is Lieutenant signing off.